Patrick, this is Matt, and that is Brian. Together we just got played. We're at the Cloak and Blaster, and tonight we just got done playing Depths of
Durangrar.
Durangrar?
Durangrar.
Join us for the game. Brian Fiore, tell us a little bit about Depths of Durangrar.
Sure. The Depths of Durangrar. It's a 2 to 4 player game, and it's basically a dungeon delve, and it's set with like a fantasy theme in which each of the players, well, at least 3 of the players, 2 to 3 of the players are explorers, and they're each from one of their cities, towns, or city-states or something like that, and they have to come up with riches and gold from the depths in order to take back to their town to feed the peasants, essentially, before they starve to death. And they have to do that by mining and looting and getting all the treasure out of there. However, inside the depths is a monster, and or actually, depending, 3 different kinds of monsters, and it's their job to keep people out of their lovely home, and they got to do that by basically killing these explorers. So essentially, there's 2 asymmetric win conditions. The first of the explorer characters to get out with a certain amount of gold is the winner. However, if the monster kills a certain number of the players a certain number of times, then that's the way that the monster wins. And there's a different number of versions or different ways to play the game where you can up the total amount. And every time a monster dies, there's no real player elimination. If the character dies, then they basically respawn from their den or from the outside, and they can keep coming back in. During a player's turn, they have a number of different actions that they can do. They have action points that they can spend, so they can move along and explore, pick up treasure, drop stuff off. They can attack the monster if they happen to find him. They can attack a fellow player. They can form an alliance. They can end up breaking that alliance and stealing. They can leave and then go and banking some of their treasure. Things that the monster can do is they have certain abilities. Some of them can jump over walls. Some of them, like the sentient fungus, he can billow out clouds of spores, which can either slow people down or hurt them if they happen to walk through it, kind of like traps. And there's another guy who can cause cave-ins or something like that, and so create little walls to try to block off some of the explorers. Plus the monster gets to create the board and lay out the maze. There's a certain number of setup scenarios already. But one of the coolest things about this game is that it's actually played in the dark. So pitch black, except for each of the characters has a little LED diode on it, and they can light up, and so that creates a limited visibility or torch light for the players. The monster, on the other hand, gets to use night vision goggles, so they can see the entire board. They can see where they laid out some of the treasure for the explorers to go. But the explorers are basically limited, depending on the direction of their character, as to how far that they can see or where their line of sight goes. So sometimes they can end up kind of getting lost in the board and not count out the number of spaces towards the end. But with that, Patrick, what would you say is your favorite thing about the Depths of Durangrar?
I say this a lot, but it's components. But this is no joke. This game's got probably the funkiest, the biggest selection of components that there are. It's got custom dice. It's got these little figurines, your character minis that have, I don't know if you can see that, a flashing torch light that shines on the board in the complete darkness. It's got a completely variable board. The thing is incredible for components. It's absolute night vision goggles. Comes with a game. Absolutely incredible. I'm saying components. But Matt, if you had to pick one thing that you like the most, and it wasn't components.
It's tied into the components, though. The cool little flashing lights all have a really awesome effect, especially the fact that they flash. It's not a static light. It plays really well with the darkness element. The fact that the map is pretty much completely hidden to the players at all times. You can see very little with your LED, and I think that gives it a lot of tension.
Brian Fiore.
My favorite thing about the Depths of Durangrar is the customizability. You've got the board, which is made up of a series of tiles, and you can kind of put them together in almost any fashion that you want. And then the walls of the actual dungeon, you put all these pegs in the board as well, and then you can customize and lay out an entirely new board. There's got to be thousands of possibilities. So the customizability between the board, but not only that, but in the stats of the actual players. Like for the monster, at least, there's 3 different stats, and you can kind of adjust them during your setup. Like if you want extra action points, or extra damage, attack damage, or attack damage,
Action points.
and health. So the monster gets like 3 different stats, and the other characters I think get to play with 2 of theirs.
So
at
it's
least to
3
start
stats. You
with.
get your
All
health
three of
too.
them. We just don't
Three.
change our action points.
Gotcha. So I would have to say customizability between the board, the setup, and the stats. But what would you say is the thing that you like least about the Depths of Durangrar?
There's one aspect that's a little frustrating. There's an evolutionary aspect. So if I kill the monster starts back over because there's no player elimination. Monster starts back over. He steps outside. He evolves. He gets more points to allocate to his little character, and then he comes back in. So every time he dies, he gets stronger. So there's one thing I don't like is I don't like that growth of the bad guy. But Matt, if there's one thing you had to pick,
I would probably go with the balance between the player characters and the monster. The player characters seem very, very weak at the very beginning, and it seems very hard to actually compete with the monster at any stage of the game. It feels like almost all of the time your only option is to kind of run away. There's no, well, if I can overcome this, I can get through there and do this thing. It's just, there's the monster. I should probably try to run back home.
run away,
Run away!
Brian Fiore.
I would have to say the thing that I like least about the Depths of Durangrar, it's there's asymmetric win conditions where the monster has to basically kill the players a certain number of times, and the players are supposed to grab as much of the treasure to meet that amount and then get out. And then the players, I think, are supposed to be set against each other as much as possible. However, the thing that I like least is that there's an actual incentive for them to form an alliance, and they can actually form a team, which allows them to make more attacks or withstand against the monster a little bit more. But then I think kind of what that kind of then causes sometimes to happen is like this war of attrition where the monster might be able to kill one of them, but then they kill the monster, and then it gets into the monster then coming back with those extra evolution points as a little bit stronger. Then they all kind of like run away, and then they get more powerful and heal up and come back in. So then it comes into this like total war of attrition where each side is like escalating and armament for like this epic battle that's going to happen at the end, where because it's that asymmetric win condition where each of the players, I feel that they should be stabbing each other in the back and grabbing the treasure and just moving towards the end game condition rather than moving towards this epic battle that would take place. That said, the Depths of Durangrar is now on Kickstarter, so make sure you jump over there and back for your copy.
I'm Patrick. This is Matt. That's Brian. We're at the Cloak and Blaster. Just got done playing Depths of how do you say it again?
Durangrar.
Durangrar.
Dungaroos.
Thank you very much for watching. Speaking of sentient fungus, I had to throw away another pair of underwear.
You were told by your doctor not to do any more shrooms.
That was good advice. You should have taken it.
I have that ointment, but it says
What kind of production is this?